Hey coin lovers! Welcome to the Wortholdcoins channel, your place to discover the hidden value and rare facts about old coins. In today's video we're revealing the top 5 valuable coins, and one of them might just be in your collection. So don't skip this video, let's find out their real worth. Top 1. The America 1 Dime 1968 D coin is a 10-cent piece issued by the United States Mint in the year 1968, carrying the D mint mark, which indicates it was struck at the Denver Mint. This coin belongs to the Roosevelt dime series, which began in 1946 and continues to the present day. The series was introduced to honor President Franklin Delano Roosevelt, the 32nd President of the United States, who led the nation through the Great Depression and World War II. Roosevelt was deeply admired, not only for his leadership but also for his founding of the March of Dimes campaign, which raised funds to combat polio, a disease he himself had battled. Because of this association, it was fitting that his portrait was chosen to appear on the dime after his death in 1945. By 1968, the Roosevelt dime had already been circulating for 22 years and was a well-established piece of American currency. The obverse front of the 1968 D dime features a left-facing portrait of Franklin D. Roosevelt, designed by John R. Sinnock, the chief engraver of the U.S. Mint. Above his head appears the word Liberty. To the left is the national motto "In God We Trust," and below the portrait is the date 1968. Just behind Roosevelt's neck is the JS designer's initials, which are often mistaken by the public as a reference to communism. Joseph Stalin when the coin was first introduced in 1946, though in fact they stand for Sinnock. To the right of the date is the mint mark D, identifying the Denver Mint as the production site. This is particularly notable because 1968 was the first year the mint marks returned to U.S. coins after being removed from 1965 to 1967 during the coin shortage. The reverse back design of the coin carries a patriotic and symbolic message. At the center is a torch representing liberty and enlightenment. On either side of the torch are branches, an olive branch on the left symbolizing peace, and an oak branch on the right, symbolizing strength and independence. Encircling the design are the inscriptions "United States of America" at the top and "1 dime" at the bottom, with the national motto "E pluribus unum" out of many one written across the torch. This reverse design has remained unchanged since the Roosevelt dime was first issued in 1946, making it one of the most consistent coin designs in U.S. history. From a technical perspective, the 1968 D dime was struck in the clad composition, introduced in 1965 after the removal of silver from most U.S. circulating coins. The coin is composed of an outer layer of 75% copper and 25% nickel bonded to a pure copper core. This change was made due to rising silver prices, which made it impractical to continue minting dimes, quarters, and half dollars in silver. The 1968 D dime weighs 2.27 grams, has a diameter of 17.91 millimeters, and features a reeded edge with 118 reeds. Unlike its pre-1965 predecessors, which were 90% silver, the clad dime is much less intrinsically valuable, being worth only its face value in circulation unless preserved in high grade. In terms of mintage, the Denver Mint produced a very large number of 1968 D dimes, over 480 million coins, making this issue extremely common in circulation. Because of this high mintage, most 1968 D dimes have little to no premium above face value unless they are in uncirculated condition or display special characteristics. However, collectors seek out high-grade examples, such as those graded MS-66 or MS-67 by professional grading services, which can be worth much more. Additionally, the 1968 D dime is notable among collectors for certain varieties and errors. Popular collectible errors include off-center strikes, double strikes, broad strikes, or dimes with missing clad layers. Coins with sharp strikes, strong luster, and no contact marks are particularly desirable. From a historical standpoint, the 1968 D dime reflects a turning point in American coinage. It was minted during the era when the United States fully transitioned from silver coins to copper-nickel clad coins. The reintroduction of mint marks in 1968 was also historically significant, as coin collectors had been unable to differentiate between mint locations from 1965 to 1967 due to the mint's temporary removal. Of mint marks, collectors were pleased to see them return in 1968, restoring the traditional system of identifying coins by their mint origin. In symbolic terms, the 1968 D dime is a tribute to Roosevelt's lasting legacy. His leadership during the Great Depression and World War II made him one of the most influential American presidents, and his association with the March of Dimes made his portrait on the 10-cent piece especially meaningful. The imagery of the torch, olive branch, and oak branch continues to symbolize the balance of liberty, peace, and strength that are foundational to the United States. In conclusion, the 1968 United States Roosevelt dime is a small but historically rich coin. While common in circulation due to its massive mintage, it carries deep symbolism and historical importance. It marks the return of mint marks after a 3-year absence, represents the early years of America's clad coinage era, and honors one of the nation's greatest presidents. Though worth only 10 cents in everyday transactions, in the world of coin collecting it holds value as part of the long and continuous Roosevelt dime series, a reminder of America's 20th century history and a piece of change that carries with it the story of liberty, peace, and national strength. Top 2. The America 1 Dime 1967 coin belongs to the Roosevelt dime series, which was first issued in 1946 and continues to the present day. By 1967, the dime had already become a familiar and trusted coin in American commerce, circulating heavily during a period of major economic and social change in the United States. The series honors Franklin Delano Roosevelt, the 32nd President of the United States, who led the nation during the Great Depression and World War II. Roosevelt's leadership, his New Deal reforms, and his role in founding the March of Dimes campaign to fight polio made him an enduring figure in American memory. After his death in 1945, it was decided that his portrait would replace the Mercury dime, and by 1946 the Roosevelt dime was introduced. The 1967 dime falls within a transitional era of U.S. coinage, just after the removal of silver from circulating dimes, quarters, and half dollars in 1965. The obverse front side of the 1967 dime features a left-facing portrait of Franklin D. Roosevelt, designed by chief engraver John R. Sinek. The inscriptions include liberty positioned along the left rim, the motto "In God We Trust" to the left of Roosevelt's neck, and the date 1967 positioned just below his chin. The designer's initials JS appear at the base of Roosevelt's neck, signifying John Sinek's authorship of the design. This same portrait design has been used on all Roosevelt dimes since 1946, making it one of the longest-lasting coin portraits in U.S. history. The reverse backside of the coin depicts a symbolic composition consisting of a torch at the center representing liberty and enlightenment, flanked by 2 branches, an olive branch on the left, symbolizing peace, and an oak branch on the right, representing strength and independence. This balanced arrangement is accompanied by inscriptions United States of America along the top rim, the denomination 1 dime along the bottom, and the national motto E pluribus unum, Latin for out of many one, positioned horizontally across the torch. The design reflects both the ideals of the American Republic and the values associated with Roosevelt's leadership. In terms of technical specifications, the 1967 dime is part of the clad coinage introduced after the Coinage Act of 1965. Unlike earlier dimes that contained 90% silver and 10% copper, the 1967 dime was made from a copper-nickel clad composition, consisting of an outer layer of 75% copper and 25% nickel bonded to a pure copper core. This change was necessary because rising silver prices in the early 1960s made it too costly to produce circulating coins from precious metal. The coin weighs 2.27 grams, has a diameter of 17.91 millimeters, and features a reeded edge with 118 reeds, which helps deter counterfeiting and provides a tactile distinction from smooth-edged coins of other denominations. One important historical fact about the 1967 dime is the absence of mint marks. Between 1965 and 1967, the U.S. Mint temporarily removed mint marks from all coins. This decision was made in response to a nationwide coin shortage, as collectors were hoarding coins with mint marks. By eliminating mint marks, the Mint hoped to reduce collector-driven shortages and ensure coins circulated smoothly. As a result, all 1967 dimes look identical regardless of whether they were struck at the Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco mints. Mint marks were restored in 1968, making 1967 the final year of the no mint mark policy. In terms of mintage and availability, the 1967 Roosevelt dime was produced in very large numbers, with over 2.2 billion coins struck across all U.S. mint facilities. This massive output makes the 1967 dime a very common coin in circulation, and in most grades it carries only face value. However, coins preserved in higher grades, such as Mint State MS-66 and MS-67, or those with strong strike details, full bands on the torch, or proof-like qualities, can attract collector interest and carry premiums. Proof versions were also struck in special mint sets SMS in 1967, which are of particular interest to collectors due to their sharp details and satin finish. From a historical and symbolic perspective, the 1967 Roosevelt dime captures an important moment in U.S. coinage history. T was struck at the height of the transition from silver to clad coinage, a change that reflected both economic realities and the modernization of the nation's money. At the same time, the coin continued to serve as a tribute to President Roosevelt, whose legacy of leadership, compassion, and national unity remains strong more than 2 decades after his death. The imagery of the torch, olive branch, and oak branch continued to remind Americans of the values of liberty, peace, and strength that guided the country during Roosevelt's presidency. In conclusion, the 1967 United States Roosevelt dime is a small but historically significant coin, while extremely common in circulation and of little numismatic value in lower grades. It holds importance as part of the broader narrative of U.S. coinage. It symbolizes the move away from silver, the impact of coin shortages of the 1960s, and the enduring respect for Franklin D. Roosevelt's contributions to the nation. For collectors, it represents not only an affordable and accessible coin but also a piece of American history that reflects the economic challenges and patriotic ideals of its time. Top 3. The America 1 Dime 1980p coin is part of the long-running Roosevelt Dime series, first issued in 1946 to honor the legacy of President Franklin Delano Roosevelt, the 32nd President of the United States. Roosevelt, who guided the nation through the Great Depression and World War II, was also the inspiration for the March of Dimes campaign, a national fundraising effort to combat polio, a disease he himself endured. Because of this close association with the dime denomination, his portrait has appeared on the 10-cent coin since 1946, BY 1980. The Roosevelt dime had already been in circulation for over 3 decades and was well established as a core part of the American coinage system. The 1980 issue is notable because it was the first year that the Philadelphia Mint began using a P mint mark on dimes, quarters, and half dollars, something that had not appeared on Philadelphia coins before. This marked a new era for U.S. coinage, as mint marks now clearly identified coins struck in Philadelphia as well as Denver and San Francisco. The obverse, front side, of the 1980p dime features a left-facing portrait of Franklin D. Roosevelt designed by John R. Sinek, the chief engraver of the U.S. Mint. Along the rim to the left is the word Liberty, while the motto "In God We Trust" is placed just below Roosevelt's chin. The year of issue, 1980, appears to the right, and above the year is the P mint mark identifying the Philadelphia Mint as the place of production. Just at the base of Roosevelt's neck are the designer's initials JS, a small detail that originally sparked public controversy in 1946 because some citizens mistakenly believed it stood for Joseph Stalin rather than John Sinek, the reverse. Backside of the coin has remained unchanged since the Roosevelt dime series was introduced in 1946. At the center is a torch representing liberty and enlightenment, flanked on the left by an olive branch symbolizing peace and on the right by an oak branch, symbolizing strength and independence. These elements are carefully balanced to convey the enduring principles of the American Republic. Surrounding the design are inscriptions, United States of America along the upper rim, E pluribus unum out of many, one written horizontally across the torch, and 1 dime at the bottom rim. This imagery is both patriotic and timeless, ensuring the coin retains a sense of continuity with its historical origins. In terms of technical specifications, the 1980 P dime was struck in the standard clad composition adopted in 1965 following the removal of silver from circulating dimes. It is composed of an outer layer of 75% copper and 25% nickel, bonded to a pure copper core. The coin weighs 2.27 grams, has a diameter of 17.91 millimeters, a thickness of about 1.35 millimeters, and features a reeded edge with 118 reeds. This composition is highly durable for circulation and ensures that the coin does not contain any intrinsic precious metal value, unlike its pre-1965 silver predecessors. In terms of mintage, the Philadelphia Mint struck a massive number of 1980p dimes, approximately 735 million coins, making it a very common issue. Because of this extremely high production, the coin is typically worth only its face value of 10 cents in circulated condition. However, collectors often seek high-grade examples that have been well preserved, as these are much scarcer. Coins graded at the upper level, such as MS-66 or MS-67 with full torch bands, can command higher premiums because of their rarity and sharp details. Proof versions of the dime, however, were only struck at the San Francisco Mint in 1980 and not in Philadelphia. From a historical perspective, the 1980 P dime holds special significance as the first dime to carry a P mint mark, signaling a shift in U.S. coinage tradition. Prior to 1980, coins from Philadelphia typically did not carry a mint mark, with the exception of wartime nickels in the 1940s. The introduction of the P mint mark standardized the practice of identifying coins by their place of origin across all U.S. mints, which collectors welcomed as a way to distinguish between coins from different facilities. In symbolic terms, the 1980 P Roosevelt dime is a small but powerful reminder of Franklin Roosevelt's enduring influence on American history. The obverse portrait immortalizes his leadership and vision, while the reverse design symbolizes the balance of liberty, peace, and strength that define the nation. Its widespread mintage also reflects the importance of the dime in daily commerce, as it remained a vital coin for vending machines, parking meters, and small transactions throughout the late 20th century. In conclusion, the 1980 United States Roosevelt dime is a coin of both practical and historical importance. While common in circulation and generally worth little above face value, it represents a milestone in American coinage history as the first Philadelphia dime to bear the P mint mark. For collectors, it is part of the continuous Roosevelt dime series that spans decades, connecting modern U.S. coinage to the legacy of Franklin D. Roosevelt and the values he represented. Though small in size, the coin embodies a blend of national history, economic change, and numismatic tradition, making it a meaningful piece of America's coinage story. Top 4. The America 1 Dime 1990 P coin is part of the Roosevelt dime series, which has been in continuous production since 1946 and remains one of the most iconic small-denomination coins in the United States. The series was introduced to honor Franklin Delano Roosevelt, the 32nd President of the United States, who guided the nation through the Great Depression and World War II and left a lasting impact through his leadership and progressive reforms. Roosevelt's association with the March of Dimes campaign to combat polio made the dime denomination especially fitting for his portrait, as the campaign itself had successfully raised funds in small 10-cent contributions from citizens across the country. By 1990, the Roosevelt dime had already been in circulation for over 4 decades, and the 1990 P dime represented another chapter in this long-running design, carrying both practical and symbolic value for the American people. The obverse front side of the 1990 P dime features a left-facing profile of Franklin D. Roosevelt sculpted by John R. Sinek, the chief engraver of the U.S. Mint. This portrait captures Roosevelt's strong and determined features, symbolizing the resilience and courage that defined his presidency. Along the left side of the coin is the inscription Liberty, while the motto "In God We Trust" appears below the chin. The date of issue, 1990, is displayed at the lower right, and above the date is the mint mark P, denoting that the coin was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. The small initials JS appear at the base of Roosevelt's neck, representing Sinek's authorship of the design, a detail that initially stirred controversy in 1946 when some mistakenly believed the letters referred to Joseph Stalin. The reverse back side of the coin retains the traditional design that has defined the Roosevelt dime since its introduction in 1946. The center is a torch symbolizing liberty and enlightenment, flanked on the left by an olive branch representing peace, and on the right by an oak branch, representing strength and independence. This trio of symbols reflects the balanced ideals of American society: liberty guided by peace and supported by strength. Surrounding this central design are the inscriptions United States of America along the upper rim, E pluribus unum, Latin for out of many, bone horizontally across the torch, and one dime at the bottom. This reverse design has remained unchanged for decades, lending continuity and tradition to the coinage system. From a technical standpoint, the 1990 P dime was struck in the clad composition established by the Coinage Act of 1965, following the removal of silver from U.S. dimes, quarters, and half dollars due to rising silver prices. The coin is composed of an outer layer of 75% copper and 25% nickel, bonded to a core of pure copper. It weighs 2.27 grams, has a diameter of 17.91 millimeters, and features a reeded edge with 118 reeds. This composition ensures durability, affordability, and consistency in circulation, though it means that modern dimes like the 1990 P have no intrinsic precious metal value, unlike pre-1965 silver issues. The Philadelphia Mint produced an enormous number of 1990 P dimes, with a total mintage of over 1.0 billion coins. This extremely high production makes the 1990 P dime very common in circulation, and most examples are worth only their face value of 10 cents. However, for collectors, coins preserved in mint state, uncirculated, grades, especially those with sharp strikes and minimal contact marks, can command modest premiums. Of particular interest are coins graded MS 67 and higher, or examples with strong details in the torch bands, referred to as full torch or full bands, which indicate exceptional striking quality. Errors and varieties such as off-center strikes, double dies, or dimes with missing clad layers are also prized by specialists. From a historical perspective, the 1990 P dime reflects the stability and continuity of the Roosevelt dime design. Unlike the quarter, which would soon undergo a major transformation with the 50-state quarters program starting in 1999, the dime retained its long-standing design without alteration. This consistency gave it a sense of tradition and reliability even as the nation entered a new decade. The return of mint marks in 1968 and their continued presence on the 1990p dime also highlights how far U.S. coinage had come since the coin shortages of the mid-1960s, when mint marks were temporarily removed. In symbolic terms, the 1990p Roosevelt dime serves as a reminder of the enduring ideals of liberty, peace, and strength represented by the reverse design, and of Roosevelt's legacy, represented by the obverse portrait. For everyday Americans, it was a practical coin for small transactions, vending machines, parking meters, and grocery stores. Yet for collectors and historians, it also embodies the continuity of U.S. numismatic heritage and the values of the nation. In conclusion, the 1990p United States Roosevelt dime is a coin of great historical continuity, practical utility, and symbolic importance. Though extremely common and generally worth little above face value in circulation, it carries with it the legacy of Franklin Roosevelt, the values of American society, and the story of a coinage system that adapted to modern economic realities while maintaining tradition. For collectors, high-grade or error examples add interest, while for the general public, the dime remains a small but powerful piece of America's everyday financial life. Top 5. The America 1 Dime 1973 D coin is a 10-cent piece struck at the Denver Mint, as indicated by the small D mint mark located on the obverse of the coin, just above the date. This coin is part of the long-running Roosevelt dime series. First issued in 1946 in honor of President Franklin Delano Roosevelt, the 32nd President of the United States. Roosevelt, who served an unprecedented 4 terms in office, is remembered as one of the most influential American leaders of the 20th century. His leadership during the Great Depression and World War II left a lasting legacy, and his founding of the March of Dimes campaign to fight polio made the dime denomination particularly meaningful for his tribute. By 1973, the Roosevelt dime had already been circulating for nearly 3 decades, and the 1973 D issue reflects both the continuation of this popular design and the economic realities of the modern U.S. coinage system. The obverse front side of the 1973 D dime features a left-facing profile of Franklin D. Roosevelt, designed by John R. Sinek, the chief engraver of the U.S. Mint at the time of the dime's creation. Along the left rim of the coin appears the word liberty, while the motto "In God We Trust" is inscribed below Roosevelt's chin. The year of issue 1973 is placed at the lower right, with the D mint mark just above it, signifying the Denver Mint as the place of production. The designer's initials JS appear discreetly at the base of Roosevelt's neck, a small detail that has accompanied the design since its debut in 1946. This portrait of Roosevelt has remained essentially unchanged for the entire history of the series, symbolizing continuity and respect for his memory. The reverse, backside, of the coin carries the long-standing design that has defined the Roosevelt dime since 1946 AT. The center is a torch, symbolizing liberty and enlightenment. Flanking the torch are 2 branches, an olive branch on the left, representing peace, and an oak branch on the right, representing strength and independence. Together, these 3 elements convey the balance of liberty, peace, and strength as guiding values of the United States. Surrounding the central design are the inscriptions "United States of America" at the top, the denomination 1 dime at the bottom, and the motto "E pluribus unum" out of many, 1 across the field just above the base of the torch. From a technical perspective, the 1973 D dime was struck in the clad copper-nickel composition introduced after 1965 to replace the earlier 90% silver coinage. The coin is composed of an outer layer of 75% copper and 25% nickel bonded to a pure copper core. It has a weight of 2.27 grams, a diameter of 17.91 millimeters, a thickness of about 1.35 millimeters, and features a reeded edge with 118 reeds. This clad composition was chosen both for durability and cost-effectiveness, as the rising price of silver in the 1960s had made silver coinage too expensive to maintain for circulation. The mintage of the 1973 D dime was very high, with the Denver Mint producing over 455 million coins that year. This massive production ensured that the coin was widely available in circulation, and as a result, the 1973 D dime is considered a common issue with little numismatic premium in average circulated condition. However, well-preserved examples in mint state MS-65 and higher can be of interest to collectors, particularly those displaying strong luster, sharp strikes, and full details in the torch bands, often referred to as full torch or full bands. Dimes errors, such as off-center strikes, double dies, or missing clad layers, also carry added collector value. From a historical perspective, the 1973 D dime represents the stability of American coinage during the early 1970s. While quarters and dollars would later undergo major design changes, the dime remained visually unchanged, maintaining its consistent tribute to Franklin Roosevelt. The coin's clad composition also reflects the permanent shift away from silver coinage in everyday circulation, a move that symbolized the modernization of U.S. money in response to global economic changes. For everyday Americans, the dime was still a vital coin for vending machines, telephones, parking meters, and small purchases. Essential to daily life, even though inflation was beginning to erode its buying power by the 1970s. Symbolically, the 1973 Roosevelt dime remains a coin rich with meaning. Roosevelt's portrait commemorates his leadership, compassion, and resilience, while the reverse design's balance of liberty, peace, and strength encapsulates the ideals that continue to guide the nation. Its widespread circulation means that millions of Americans handled this coin daily, often without realizing the layers of history and symbolism it represented. In conclusion, the 1973 United States Roosevelt dime is a small but significant coin in America's numismatic history. Although extremely common and generally worth only face value in circulated grades, it stands as a reminder of the enduring legacy of Franklin Roosevelt, the transition of U.S. coinage from silver to clad metal, and the values enshrined in its timeless design. For collectors, high-grade or error examples add interest, while for historians, it represents a steady chapter in the story of American coinage during the 1970s. Thanks for watching my videos. Please subscribe my channel for more videos.